The days will be spent meditating. Last time in 2019, Prime Minister spent time in a very holy place, Kedarnath. He was in Kedarnath, and the picture which is in front of you was taken 30 years ago. This is not Kedarnath, this is Kanyakumari. After the elections, he has again chosen to spend time alone. This time, he has chosen the city of Kanyakumari. Today, he visited the temple. It is a historic spot with both religious and spiritual dimensions. Vivekananda had meditated on the very spot which was a bare rock where his memorial stands today. The issue has become controversial because the Congress has approached the Election Commission of India and has called it silent campaigning. But the fact of the matter is that this journey is full of symbols and a powerful history. Let me take you through some important aspects. First, let's take a look at the man behind the memorial. I am talking about Eknath Ranade. Eknath Ranade was Pracharak with RSS. He worked extensively across India. Ranade wanted to join Sangh in 1932. He was advised by Dr. Hedgewar to complete his graduation. Ultimately, he joined Sangh as a full-time Pracharak in 1938. He also functioned for some time as the Prachar Pramukh or Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He also functioned as Prant Pracharak of Purvanchal, which is very, very important. Today, BJP is talking about Northeast. Eknath Ranade was the one who laid the foundation. In 1962, he became Sarkareva, which is basically General Secretary. In 1963, he was asked by Golwalkar, then Sarsangh Chalak, to establish the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. Ranade passed away in Chennai in 1982, and till then, he remained the organizing secretary. So he was the man. Ranade was the man responsible for Vivekananda Memorial. He was the person. And Ranade was one of the few people influential in 1970s and early 80s who were directly in touch with Dr. Hedgewar. The other person who was directly in touch with Hedgewar went on to become the Sarsangh Chalak when Guru Golwalkar passed away, and his name was Balasaheb Devras, the third Sarsangh Chalak. And I have to put this on record to say, when Golwalkar was at helms of affair, Ranade was in Tamil Nadu working on this project, and Devras was in self-exile. I am not going to go further because that's a debate and conversation for the other time. But the man Eknath Ranade was an important person in RSS. Not just because he built the Vivekananda Memorial, but because of who he was. Now, building the memorial wasn't an easy task. Let me take you through how the memorial was built. How this memorial came into being. In 1962, a committee was formed to build a memorial at the rock where Vivekananda meditated in 1892. Eknath Ranade was asked by Golwalkar to work on the memorial. Objection to this plan was by Christian community, who used to call it Saint Xavier's Rock. Christian community even put a cross on the rock, which the Hindus protested against, and they removed it later. At the same time, Devasam Board staked claim to the rock, citing its religious significance. The committee applied to the board seeking permission to build a memorial. The board agreed to the condition provided everything was handed over to them after construction. Ferry service was provided by the help of fishermen from Kerala. A judicial probe ordered the removal of the cross and declared the rock as Vivekananda Rock. Section 144 was imposed as a lot of Christians protested and access to rock was prohibited. State government denied permission for the construction of a memorial on a rock then. A stone tablet commemorating Swami Vivekananda was placed in January 1963. An All India committee formed soon after demanding a memorial. Chinmaya Mission made the first donation of rupees 10,000. In May 63, a stone tablet was demolished by some miscreants. Then Union Culture Minister Humayun Kabir also opposed the statue, saying it's going to spoil the natural scenery. Humayun Kabir, as I said, opposed it because he was talking about the view. He received a huge backlash for his opposition. Ranade sought support from Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri asked him to petition parliamentarians. 323 MPs signed his petition. The petition was submitted to Prime Minister Nehru. Bhakta Vatsalam was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. He was mediating between a lot of people. Ranade got support from Shankaracharya of Kanchipuram and a Ramakrishna mission for the project. Ranade arranged funds from state governments, industrialists, student unions, NGOs and general public. Ranade's innovative method of arranging funds made it a national project. And then memorial was inaugurated by President V.V. Giri in 1970s. Now, let's focus on the significance of the memorial and its historical and spiritual value. Memorial has a huge spiritual and historical importance. It's believed that the goddess Parvati also meditated on the same rock on one foot as she waited for Lord Shiva. In 1892, Swami Vivekananda swam to the rock to meditate and seek divine inspiration. He meditated on the rock for 3 days and experienced a spiritual awakening. This propelled him to introduce Indian philosophy and yoga to the world. The experience inspired Swami Vivekananda's address at the World Parliament of Religion. Vivekananda attended the World Parliament of Religion in Chicago in 1893. He presented the Hindu Dharma to the world and received a standing ovation. Vivekananda Rock Memorial stands as a symbol of his enduring legacy. It's also seen as a beacon of peace and enlightenment. It is also important to understand Prime Minister Modi's connection with Swami Vivekananda. Prime Minister Modi has long revered Swami Vivekananda as a role model. Prime Minister Modi in his youth was a member of Ramakrishna Mission. Prime Minister's high regard for spiritual leaders is seen in his speeches. PM wants to realize Vivekananda's grand vision for India. PM has invoked Swami Vivekananda on several occasions. PM commemorated Swami Vivekananda at 125th anniversary in 2023. Swami Vivekananda's anniversary is celebrated as National Youth Day. Modi government's idea of Viksit Bharat was inspired by Swami Vivekananda. PM Modi credits Vivekananda for establishing Indian culture and spiritualism globally. I am joined by Dr. Anil K. Verma, Director, Center for Study of Society and Politics, and also Brijesh Pandey in the studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Verma, for joining me. My question to you is, how is it different from Kedarnath? Take us through that.
I mean, I don't know how it is different from Kedarnath, but I am, amused by the kind of panic that it has created among the opposition ranks, because the Prime Minister has the tendency of, visiting such places post-election campaign, and that we can see both in 2014 and 2019. And the question is, Karthike, that the Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of the country. Nobody in the country can compare with the position of the Prime Minister and the persona of the Prime Minister. And the kind of opposition that he is, the kind of things that they are saying that he is into a silent campaign is so ridiculous that wherever the Prime Minister will go, he will be the focus of attraction, because after such a long innings at the poll campaign, everybody would be very curious whether the Prime Minister is tired or not. I mean, he is 74, and at his age, a man relentlessly working for the party and the government and trying to persuade the people to get him a third term. I mean, there is a genuine desire and need for the Prime Minister to rest some time. And I don't know the difference from 2019, but the fundamental similarity is not the difference, the fundamental similarity is that this requires a exhaustion of energy, to run such a long and marathon campaign. And after that, the person certainly needs some kind of internal peace as well as physical rest. And Vivekananda Rock, I'm sure you must have visited. I have, and it's a beautiful place to meditate and regain the entire energy. That is the one thing which is very important. And the second thing, that by visiting such places after the end of a long campaign, the Prime Minister is trying to focus also at the same time on the cultural revival in the country. So these are our iconic places. Vivekananda is not yours or mine or this religion or that religion. Everybody visits Vivekananda Rock. Everybody likes that place. A lot of tourists are there. Even the Tamil Nadu people have protested to the DM of Tamil Nadu that it will, obstruct the inflow of tourists because the Prime Minister is there. So it's a place, it's a tourist destination, but certainly the Prime Minister has a right to rest and reflect what he has done. And also remember that Vivekananda gave a very important message when he was meditating, that purity, patience, and perseverance, these are the trinities which he propounded when he meditated over there, and probably Modi needs it more this time also, as in 2019 and way back in 2014.
Dr. Verma, before I go to Brijesh, do you think that it is silent campaigning? Does that argument holds ground?
It's to me?
Yes.
It's to me?
Yes, Dr. Verma.
Okay. Karthik, certainly it is absolutely not a silent campaigning, because the Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. And I must point out two things here. Do the opposition actually wants to put a blanket ban on the media that there should not be any reporting of the Prime Minister post, this end of the campaign from today itself, to this evening? And will the media not be reporting the other leaders also, so far as the opposition leaders are concerned? So the challenge to this silent campaign, that this is a silent campaign. Who else? Everybody is allowed to have a silent campaign. Why don't you also go and meditate somewhere and do some kind of thing, so that if you think that this brings a silent campaign, all are free to go and do the silent campaigning. Why only focus on the Prime Minister? After Prime Minister, with due respect to his age and other things, I mean, this is quite ridiculous to me that it's a silent campaign. Why it should be silent campaign? The Prime Minister is doing his job, that he has done his job for the party and the government. Now he needs some reinvigoration of his own energy, so that the next 100 years, if suppose in all probability he gets a third term, which is likely to probably, then of course he will have to work very hard. He has already said that I have an agenda of 100 days ahead, and therefore as soon as the government returns, he will be required to do a very hard work, so that his vision of 2047 can be operationalized and realized.
Is it, Brijesh, correct to say that the Prime Minister is deeply influenced by the writings and teaching of Swami Vivekananda? Is it correct to say that?
Absolutely. I think, you would find his speeches for a very long time, peppered with anecdotes of Swami Vivekananda's life, or quoting his teaching and philosophy. And I was just as he was saying, Mr. Verma was saying, I agree that opposition has picked up a wrong battle, even if it is a silent campaign. You also should be creative enough to counter this kind of silent campaign with another kind of silent campaign. And are you this rattled that this silent campaign is going to torpedo all what you have claimed till now, that we are on a stronger footing and the BJP is on the decline and all of a sudden this silent campaign rattles you? See, it's like it's like saying that just because you are on the front foot or you are playing better on a particular day, I would say no, his bat should be removed just because he plays better and all. It's not making that kind of coherent sense as what the opposition parties is alleging to. I'm not going to get into the merits of whether it should be done and not, or whether there should be a blanket media coverage or not, because nobody can stop media from covering it when the Prime Minister gone to a particular place. There has been a connect, a very spiritual connect, when he was in the West Bengal, he went to Ramakrishna Paramhans mission, and he spoke eloquently about not only the Paramhans but also about Swami Vivekananda and how deeply he has been influenced with his teachings, his writings, and how he tries to incorporate most of the teachings into his daily day-to-day functions as well. To take India to another level where India as a nation state is treated with utmost respect. I think the opposition should have been more creative rather than crying about it, because it doesn't send a very say a confident feeling to their voters about how the current polity stands as vis-a-vis the 7th phase of election.
I'm not comparing Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Verma, but display of spirituality in public in both private spaces. Gandhi used it because it was part of his conviction in personal life. He did not deploy it because it was about his personality and his worldview. Do you think that it urges a lot of politician when Prime Minister displays his own spiritual side publicly?
I think Brijesh put it very beautifully. And on this aspect, I fully agree with what Brijesh has said. But what you are saying is a different question. And of course, nobody is comparing Modi to Gandhi. It's only the matter of historians that they will probably do some kind of comparison when there is no Modi. And that time comes in the life of each and everybody that one has to depart. So that's a matter of historian, which we can leave to the future historians. But I'm very sure that why anybody should be prohibitive of displaying his internal urges. If I'm an Indian citizen, I have all the rights of religious freedom. And even if I am no Gandhian or anybody is no Gandhian, even then you have a right to display your things openly, like any community, like Christians do, like the Muslims do. Why can't the Hindus do? So I don't see any reason to panic on this. And I think Brijesh put it very beautifully that the opposition should have been a little more creative on this, and instead of crying foul on this, they could have also had a parallel silent campaign, and therefore display of religiosity or display of spirituality in the public domain is not a negative thing so far as I can conceive.
Is it because, Brijesh, that opposition has a problematic relationship with civilizational politics at large?
See,
so it just doesn't fall in place there.
I don't think that. What I think is that, there was a game which has been played in a particular fashion. The Prime Minister has rejigged the rules of the game. Not exactly rejigged the rules of the game, but he has kind of been creative about how to approach the game. The Kedarnath, the equal hue and cry was raised. People said that you're trying to influence or making a reach out to the Hindu voters. Basically, majority of the Hindu voters were BJP voters, given the kind of mandate, the BJP got. So the fact of the matter is that, when you saw that, what he did in 2019, I think you should have been prepared of what he might do. Only the destination changed, the approach hasn't. 2019 he did it at Kedarnath, today he's doing it at Vivekananda. Next 5 years, when you get into party, you may do it some other place. What I'm trying to say is that if in politics you cannot preempt, in a politics you cannot think of 5 days ahead, then there's no point going to Election Commission of India or saying that media should be there should be a blanket ban and all. And the second point is, one of the fundamental differences that the Prime Minister wears his religion on sleeve and say he's not ashamed of exhibiting it. That is one fundamental difference which we see from the politicians of yesteryears or the Prime Ministers of the yesteryears and the current Prime Minister. And I think this is one area which is making a lot more politicians very uncomfortable, as they are not able to keep up the pace.
Dr. Verma, before I let go, Swami Vivekananda has a profound influence in the Indian society, and Swami Vivekananda has a profound influence when it comes to RSS, Bharatiya Janata Party. But Swami Vivekananda also has a profound influence on Prime Minister. If you look at his last 9 years, he had personally ensured a number of times that he evokes Vivekananda. Do you think by going there, he is reflecting the one side, which has been part and parcel of himself. One is the religious side, but the spiritual side.
I think, you're quite right that he is completely, dominated by the philosophy and ideology of Vivekananda. But let me assure you that it does not relegate Vivekananda to a particular religion. Vivekananda is a global icon. If you visit any country in the world, I'm sure you must have visited several countries, and you talk about Vivekananda, people are willing to listen. Who was this man Vivekananda? He's no stranger to the world community. So he's not just a Hindu icon or a Hindu leader. The things that he has said are global, they are humanitarian, but what he said was that give up jealousy, conceit, and work unitedly. So this messaging of united working of not only the Indian society but the whole human society is what we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and therefore he has very beautifully and very logically propounded the Indian culture and philosophy globally. That started in the Chicago long back. That story we all know very well, so no need not bring it here. But certainly Chicago is a very important, landmark in the entire history, from where the global trajectory of Indian culture and philosophy and spirituality was, given by this gentleman called Swami Vivekananda.
I would thank you, Dr. Verma. I would only conclude by saying this: Vivekananda was one person in post 1892 brought the larger Hindu philosophy at a global stage, that to America. America itself has not declared the world power till the First World War was ended. But then by doing that in America, he was not in Europe, in America, he created a profound influence of what Hindu civilization was. Because of the colonialism, there was a disconnect. And then you had different dynasties and different races from the Central Asia, which had ruled the entire subcontinent for more than 700 years. So Vivekananda to be there was also portraying a different image of India. And that's where the Vivekananda is important. And I think in this context, yes, I agree with you, Brijesh, opposition got it wrong.
True.
Opposition this time has got it wrong. So this was the on point number 2. And on point number 3 is floods in Manipur continue to create havoc, leading to 3 dead and several injured.